Whew, pretty nice out today. So today I was gonna rebuild the Sportsman 400, get it ready for food plots. But we went for a walk this morning and it's 25 degrees, but the sun is beautiful, it's warm. I think I'm gonna do some fruit tree pruning. I've got all my fruit trees, they're dormant. I think I've read enough, watched enough videos, so now it's just time to do it. So I got my wagon all loaded up with stuff for pruning. I'm gonna take the cages off the trees. And then, yeah, we're gonna just prune some stuff and see what happens. All right, today we have a Milwaukee chainsaw. We have a Milwaukee pruner. This thing's pretty cool. Works great. I have the Milwaukee pole saw for getting some of this really, like, I'm gonna be doing some bigger trees, really bigger trees that I just let go and never took care of. So we've got this pole saw. Then I have more of the traditional, I've got a little cutters, a little choppers, I don't even know what kind it is. And then I have just a typical regular little yard man cheapo saw. So we're gonna take the cages off, but as far as these trees go, I wanna get them while they're young because that's when everybody says to do it. All right, I gotta find my gloves. Probably left them at the house. Yeah, this thing does not, here, look at this. This is one, I'm not a arborist, but if you look right here, it doesn't have, like if you look at this collar up here, see how that collar is? That's like the branch collar. This really doesn't have a good collar. This is actually probably will split over time. So we're gonna get rid of that for sure. And we'll probably cut them about a ½ inch back up the branch. But that is definitely right there a problem. That baby will split, I guarantee. That's already better. Holy cow, it is so hot out here. I'm actually taking off my coat. Now we're gonna go with the Milwaukee pruner. This baby's pretty nice. These are all like, oh, it sounds like the battery is dying. Okay, I'm actually gonna leave this branch. This one is super tall, so there's all kinds of different cuts. There's topping cuts, there's heading cuts, there's, I don't know, some other kind of magical cut. But I'm just gonna look at this stuff and say, okay, I'm gonna clip and get the branch to face a direction. This one I like. This one I like. This one is, these will be good. This one though is gonna be shaded out by this guy. So let's. This is what happens when you're trying to get deer to not eat your stuff. You get all this kind of branch work. It gets all crooked. That's the problem with keeping them in cages for too long. We could go to here. No, we're gonna leave it. That's as far as we're going with this one. So that's basically what I'm gonna try and do, is just get these all cleaned up, get that kind of stuff out of there when they got multiple trunks. And then wherever it's gonna come up and create kind of the branches, we'll let these guys go. And now we'll just start hitting them all. That's it. This one's gonna need a chainsaw. There's a lot going on down there. stop barking. What are you? What's wrong? Well, come here. Hey, I'm right here. Hi. Hi, how are you? Look at you. Hey, Daisy. Okay, this is the apricot tree. Now this apricot tree is wild as can be, and it's got all kinds of prickers on it, and it's really not the best tree. So what we're gonna do with this is we're really gonna hack this down, and if it dies, it dies. I'm not gonna be heartbroken because we haven't had apricots on it that were edible yet. But we're gonna bring this stuff down so it's more manageable. Lop some of this stuff off. Probably I might even just cut this right here. Wham, gone. This guy I'm gonna cut up here, and then we'll take all this brush and stuff out of here. It'll make it easier to cut under and probably get it one step closer to the fire pit. Okay, now this big friggin' plum tree. This thing, it's never had good plums. So it's time. I just don't know what I see here. I think this whole branch has gotta go, and then I'll just leave it at that, right? Instead of, I'll do a little bit more research on the plum, and then I'll do something to the one behind it. Yeah, I'll get rid of the one that goes to the garden. Take this load down by the swamp behind the pond, pile it up by all our other brush. We got everything pruned, all the apple trees, apricot trees, plum trees, peach trees, and a crab apple tree to boot. So this is what we ended up with. We shortened all the trees, and again, I'm not certain exactly what apples these are, but we made them more manageable, more easy to get at the fruit when they do start to fruit. Now I took these big cages off, and I'm just gonna get a cage, probably maybe a 2 or 3 footer, just to keep the deer from rubbing on the trunks. So those are perfect rubbing poles. You can see here I've got these are Honeycrisp, and they're poking out the top. Now these are high enough that the deer don't get at them, but some of the other ones they get at. This is the peach tree, so this is a Reliance peach tree. Trimmed it back, opened up the middle, I cut an apricot tree completely down there because it was dying. This is an apple I did a while back. And we're working on that one. That's a Macintosh, and I let it grow. You could tell how everything is so narrowly cone shaped. It's because it was in a cage for so long. So out of the cage, we're going to try and get it to do something other than grow straight up. This one we really hacked last year. You could see the big cuts we made in here. And then I just did a pruning all the kind of the water shoots. I'm leaving a couple of them go. And this is my big test. This one was, again, just like that Macintosh. And my wife said I ruined it. I probably did. I don't know what kind of apple it is, but you could see where the branches had come off last year that we cut because it was just so tight together. But that's that. And because it's basically behind the shed, and we've got all of this cedar, river birch, maple that block the view from the house, I can make them kind of ugly. This raspberry patch is going to go. I don't know what kind of raspberries are there. Those are really angry ones that I brought from up north. And these were okay, but I'm going to get rid of all of this and plant some new raspberries down along the garden fence. And we've got Willow, our dog, that made us happy. Trixie, our very active dog that made us active and get outside. Some of my dad's ashes are in there to keep me working, and some of my mother-in-law's rose petals from her flowers at her funeral are in there to keep me safe. So everybody's here, so working was easy today, right? I was happy, I stayed active, my old man was there to keep me working, and my mother-in-law was there to keep me safe. So we'll just take one more walk then down. So now we're heading down to the, basically, I guess the nursery for the apple trees, persimmon and plum, as well as, you know, the clover food plots down here. I did have the pumpkins down here, but the deer decided to eat them. So I'm not putting pumpkins down there this year. And this was a apricot. So we got two apricots here. And then that big one, that's a plum. And then that littler one's a plum. So 2 apricots, 2 plums. We chopped the apricots because I guess they flower too early for Wisconsin, zone 5. Because sometimes they'll flower and then they'll get frosted over and then they'll all die. So they're neat looking trees, but not much for fruit producing. And then I have those 4 apples. They still need to do some growing. What else here? This apple tree, I cropped the top. Now these two have a little story. Oh, look at, I could get this out of the way. I'll leave that lay there. Want that in there. Garbage out of there. This apple tree, you can see my scions right there. I put those in last year and look at the growth. They really turned out great. And I used that apple tree because those apples that were on that tree were so delicious. I don't even know what kind they are. I bought that tree 15, 20 years ago and I was going to cut it down, but my wife told me to leave it. And it turned out to be the best apples. And I actually got these grafted pieces to go. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably cut this limb off. I'll cut that limb off. And I'm going to put some more of those apple trees on there. And I had to put this fence on because the deer ate the tops of those grafted trees. And you can see if we don't fence, that's what happens. If we don't put fencing around our trees, them deer just eat them right up. This apple tree, he got a little bit of a facelift. Last year we cut a ton out of him. This year we just cut all of the upward growing shoots. We left a few. Pumpkins are going to no longer be, so I'm going to move some of those persimmons and those plums and bring them over here. And I'm going to take some of the apples and I'm going to run them along the edge of that clover food plot. You can see where I keep a lot of shrubs and brush. It helps that every year I come in with a skid steer and push it back. And there's all the loads that I had. That's all of the brushed, all of the trimming we did this year, or all the trimming we did today. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 loads in there. And that's apple, persimmon, that's apple, plum, peach, apricot, probably some maple and some river birch also. All those white tubes are protecting tamarack, close, and then a little bit further back is willows, and then way in that back there, those are all tamarack also in the white tubes. And this year I've got 50 tamaracks coming. I'm going to run them all along that very back along there, along that wood line there. It's so wet I can't get willows to grow back there. I can get these willows. I put all of these willows in here and they did really good. So I'm going to go with willows closer up, and way in the back is going to get tamarack. Well, that's going to do it for the day. It was a pretty full day. I think we got out here about 10:30, and I would say it's probably about maybe 3:34. But we definitely got all of our trees. We got all of our pruning done, and that's what we wanted to do this weekend, because today it's 30. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 50. Tuesday it's supposed to be 60. And then we're supposed to get snow next week. All that's going to happen next week. So I got this stuff before the sap was really flowing. And if you look, you can see here, all my trees are in cages of some sort. All the trees you see in here I put in. The cedars, or the red cedars, river birch, maple, red pine, white pine, tamarack. Yeah, I put these all in so they continue to grow. All of those I put in. All the trees right there I put in. Well, all these trees. But what the heck, I ain't got nothing better to do, so I might as well plant some trees. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in to What's Next Outdoors. If you want to see my other channel, it's What's Next Garage. I'll leave a link down below. But that's it. That's the tour around the property and my go at pruning all my trees. Thanks for watching. Make sure you stay outdoors and enjoy yourself.